Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Jai Om Vishnupad Paramahansa Puri Rajakacharya Ashtotara Shatashri Srimad A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada Ki Jai Anantakoti Vaishnava Vrinda Ki Jai Namacharya Haridas Thakur Ki Jai Prem Se Kaho Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaur Bhaktivinoda Ki Jai Shri Shri Radha Krishna Gopa Gopinath Shama Kunda Radha Kunda Giri Govardhan Ki Jai Shri Vrindavan Dham Ki Jai Shri Navadvip Mayapur Tam Ki Jai Ganga Mayi Ki Jai Jamuna Mayi Ki Jai Bhakti Devi Ki Jai Tulsi Devi Ki Jai Samaveta Bhaktavrinda Ki Jai. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. Gaur Premanande Hari Hari Bol. Hare Krishna. Welcome everyone for Srimad Bhagavatam with His Holiness Jayadvaita Swami. It is Friday, December 13th, 2024 in New York. And tonight we are reading in the fourth canto, chapter 8, beginning with text number 38. And this is Dhruva Maharaj speaking to Narada Muni. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Nunam Bhavan Bhagavato Yongajaha Parameshtinaha Vitudan Atate Vinang Hitaya Jagator Kavat. My dear Lord, you are a worthy son of Lord Brahma, and you travel playing on your musical instrument, the veena, for the welfare of the entire universe. You are like the sun, which rotates in the universe for the benefit of all living beings. Dhruva Maharaj, although a young child, expressed his hope that he might be offered the benediction of a kingdom which would exceed in opulence those of his father and grandfather. He also expressed his gladness that he had met such an exalted person as Narada, whose only concern was to illuminate the world like the sun, which rotates all over the universe, only for the purpose of benefiting the inhabitants of all planets. Narada Muni travels all over the universe for the sole purpose of performing the best welfare activity for the entire universe by teaching everyone how to become a devotee of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Thus, Dhruva Maharaj felt fully assured that Narada Muni could fulfill his desire, even though the desire was very extraordinary. The example of the sun is very significant. The sun is so kind that he distributes his sunshine everywhere without consideration. Dhruva Maharaj requested Narada Muni to be merciful to him. He pointed out that Narada travels all over the universe just for the purpose of doing good to all conditioned souls. He requested that Narada Muni show his mercy by awarding him the benefit of his particular desire. Dhruva Maharaj was strongly determined to fulfill his desire, and it was for that purpose that he had left his home and palace. Om Jnana Timirandhasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurun Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Vanchakal Patarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya Evacha Patitanang Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaur Bhaktivinoda. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Dhruva Maharaj was not like some ordinary child who has some desire, some impossible desire, some grandiose desire, and simply stews about it or wishes for it without really any expectation of having it fulfilled. We see in the in this section of the Bhagavatam that Dhruva Maharaj is the son of a great king, and he happens to be favored by the Lord, that the Lord sends Narada Muni directly to him. And so Dhruva Maharaj has the means of fulfilling that desire. Not everyone is so well connected as Dhruva, but fortunately for Dhruva, he is. And here he's praising Narada Muni, comparing Narada Muni to the sun, that just like the sun travels everywhere for the benefit of everyone, Dhruva is hoping in offering these words of praise to Narada Muni that he might be so mercifully disposed to him to fulfill his desire. And he's so determined that he's prepared to do anything in order to achieve this desire. He fully expects that his desire will be fulfilled by the grace of Narada as a good son, he says here, of Lord Brahma. So he's not only determined, but hopeful. And so this seems to be the hallmark of one whose benedictions are fulfilled, that both determination and hopefulness and approaching the proper authority all have to be concomitant ingredients of one's endeavor. One can't simply uselessly or, just have one's own, how should I say, hopelessly hope, let's put it that way. But he says, Dhruva Maharaj, Prabhupada says, felt fully assured that Narada Muni could fulfill his desire, even though the desire was very extraordinary. So, Hare Krishna. Maharaj, we're so glad you could be with us today, and we hope you may have something to say on this verse.
Thank you, Ekendra Prabhu. Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Preshtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Namini Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschachate Satarani. The Tudan Attate Vinam Vitaya Jagatar Arkavat. The Narad Muni travels everywhere. Arkavat, like the sun. The sun travels throughout the whole universe, giving warmth, giving light. So, and doesn't hold back that you people can get the sun, you people can't get the sun. Everyone gets the opportunity. So pure devotee travels or may travel all over the world just to give people the opportunity to become Krishna conscious. We saw that with Srila Prabhupada. He traveled all over the world and didn't hold back. He didn't think, no, these people can't get the light of Krishna consciousness. Those people can't. Everyone got the opportunity. Hitaya Jagata Arkavat. So what does Narad Muni do for the whole universe? Vitudan Vinam. He plays on his musical instrument, the Veena. Narad Muni Bhajai Veena. Radhika Ramananami. He travels all over the universe, chanting the glories of Krishna. Well, this is the business of the Krishna conscious person. Jagata Hitaya. The Hita means the welfare. Lokanam Hitakarina. For the welfare of everyone. And for that, for the welfare of everyone, he's playing on his Veena. He's not doing something else. He's not going around solving everyone's material problems. He's not going around distributing wealth or distributing food or setting up clinics or planting trees by the side of the road. These are good activities, to plant trees by the side of the road, to dig wells. It's very good. But Narad Muni is performing the highest welfare activity. He's spreading the holy name of Krishna, which gives the ultimate welfare. But Dhruva Maharaj isn't interested in the ultimate welfare. He's interested in immediate welfare. There are two terms which we've heard from Srila Prabhupada. They appear in the Katha Upanishad also. Shreya and Preya. Shreya means the ultimate welfare, long-term welfare, or permanent welfare. And Preya means immediate welfare. So Dhruva Maharaj is interested in his immediate welfare, but so when he gets the opportunity to meet Narad Muni, that's what he has in mind. We see that sometimes, that people meet a saintly person and they're interested in good health for their family, their success for their son in his graduation, and so on. They don't seek liberation from birth to death and death, or engagement in the holy service of Krishna. They want some immediate benefit. So Dhruva Maharaj, immediate benefit. And when he meets Narad Muni, that's what he has in mind. But Narad Muni has something else in mind. So even when approached for some material blessing, he gives something far greater. Hare Krishna.
Thank you so much, Maharaj. Hare Krishna. We have some things in the chat. Oh, perhaps in response to something I was saying, or Tulsi Priya says, positive thinking, in quotes, positive thinking isn't sufficient, nor, quote, if you want it bad enough. Oh, yeah. And this, I believe, Maharaj, you've touched on this point already in your own commentary. Vijay Krishna Prabhu asks, what is the welfare of the entire universe?
Yes, the welfare of the entire universe is devotional service to Krishna. That's the ultimate welfare.
And Saraswati Devi says, Pranams Param Puja Maharaj and all the Vaishnavas. The Veena, an instrument that Narada forever sings the glories of Krishna with, is mentioned here, and similarly, it is said Krishna's flute can captivate everyone, and Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has switched the flute for the mridanga to flood the universes with Sankirtan for the ultimate welfare of everyone.
Right.
And Panchatattva Prabhu offers, Narada Muni is engaged in Krishna's concerns, and he quotes, Namo Brahmanya Devaya, Go Brahmana Hitaya Cha, Jagat Ditaya Krishnaya, Govindaya Namo Namaha. My Lord, you are the well-wisher of the cows and the brahmanas, and you are the well-wisher of the entire human society and world. Hare Krishna. Any other comments or questions before we move on here? All right. Panchatattva Prabhu, are you able to read our next text, which is 39?
Maitreya Uvacha Ityudharitam Akarnya Bhagavan Naradastada Prita Pratyaha Tambalam Sadvakyam Anukampaya. The sage Maitreya continued. The great personality Narada Muni, upon hearing the words of Dhruva Maharaj, became very compassionate toward him. And in order to show him his causeless mercy, he gave him the following expert advice. Purport. Since the great sage Narada is the foremost spiritual master, naturally his only activity is to bestow the greatest benefit upon whomever he meets. Dhruva Maharaj, however, was a child, and so his demand was also that of a playful child. Still, the great sage became compassionate toward him, and for his welfare, he spoke the following verses. Om Jnana Timarandasya Jnanjana Salakaya Chakshumanitam Jena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prastai Putale Gurudas Jayadvaita Swami Niti Namine. Krishna is very compassionate to the fallen conditioned souls, and his representative, the spiritual master, is also very compassionate. Sometimes it's said that the spiritual master or the pure devotees of the Lord are more compassionate even than the Lord, because they understand the desire of the Lord, and they'll take extra pains. They go above and beyond to try to fulfill the desire of the Supreme Person. Narada Muni is moved with compassion for little 5-year-old Dhruva. And he's going to, now that he's tested him, and Dhruva has remained steadfast in his convictions, and at the same time, extremely respectful towards Narada Muni. I mean, it may seem on the face of it, he wasn't being respectful if he didn't follow Narada Muni's instructions. But he was being very honest about his own condition. And at the same time, he was taking shelter of Narada Muni because he was revealing his mind in all honesty and truthfulness. This is where I'm at. This is what I have to deal with. I seek your guidance. So Narada Muni is going to give him the guidance he needs to become ultimately very successful. The purport, however short, it brings to mind, of course, Srila Prabhupada, because spiritually, when he came to the West, he was dealing with people who are, you know, many times very sincerely seeking, but in terms of his spiritual understanding, they were more or less like children, you know, undeveloped, in various states of ignorance of spiritual life. We Westerners didn't have a clue about the Vedas or the Vedic literatures or what it is to even be a properly appointed gentleman or gentle lady. None of that was there. And still, Srila Prabhupada was so compassionate that he trained up so many men and women in Krishna consciousness. And now those of us in the succeeding generations have the benefit of their guidance and association, and things go on in this way. Krishna's compassion is spread through his loving representatives down through the ages. And just as millennia ago, Narada Muni showed Dhruva this compassion, so today this is going on. Hare Krishna.
Thank you so much, Prabhu. Hare Krishna. Maharaj, would you care to comment here?
The Ityavrutam Akarnya Prita. The Narad Muni was pleased by the boy. The boy was humble, just as the sages were pleased by Narad Muni when Narad was a boy. Boy was very humble, submissive. So the Narad Muni himself was pleased by Dhruva Maharaj. Dhruva Maharaj humbly had submitted himself before Narada. So therefore Narada was pleased. The disciple surrenders to the spiritual master becomes pleased. So Narada Anukampaya, out of his mercy, compassion, Sadvakyam, he spoke Sadvakyam, expert advice or eternal advice. He didn't speak something new, and he didn't speak something which was only relevant for temporary concerns. He spoke Sadvakyam, Saddharma Samstapaka. He's speaking, he'll speak about the eternal welfare of the living being. Narad Muni, when he met Nalakuvara and Manigriva, was still compassionate to them. These poor fools, foolish boys, have forgotten all the principles of culture, and they're playing like nonsensical fools. So Narada cursed them. That also was a benediction. But here, he was directly pleased by Dhruva Maharaj. And so he's going to speak Sadvakya. That's the business of a saintly person, not to speak some nonsense, not to speak something only for temporary interest, but to speak Sadvakya, the eternal message, or Sadvakya, yes, the eternal message, the message concerning Sat, the absolute truth. Hare Krishna.
All right, Krishna. Thank you so much, Maharaj. Let's see if there's something in the chat here. I had a question, actually. This is something that I'm sure has come up in our talks, but when it says here, Narada gave him the advice in order to show him his causeless mercy. And we hear this compound frequently enough, causeless mercy, as if it actually has no cause, but Narada is a person, something within him stirred as a result of Dhruva's appeal. And so there's some cause there. So I'm wondering if you might help us understand this term causeless mercy, since there always does seem to be, at least apparently because there is a cause for everything, a cause.
Interesting question. Of course, Narad Muni is causelessly merciful. He was merciful even to Nalakuva and Managriva. It didn't need some other cause. It's something like a sponge, it's always got water in it. So you squeeze it one way or another, you'll get water. So the mercy is there. It just appears in different ways according to the circumstances. But it's not that Narada became merciful. He was always merciful. But the boy became a good candidate for his mercy by his good qualities, by his submissive behavior. Yes, love it.
All right, thank you. Hare Krishna. So let's see here. Priti Purnamadavi Devi, would you like to read our next verse?
Is it text 40?
Yes, text 40, Mataji.
Okay. Narad-uvacha jananya bhetah panta savai nishreyasya te bhagavan vasudevastam bhajatam vanatmana. The great sage Narad told Dhruv Maharaj, the instruction given by your mother Suniti to follow the path of devotional service to the Supreme Personality of Godhead, it's just suitable for you. You should therefore completely absorb yourself in the devotional service of the Lord. Purport: Dhruv Maharaj's demand was to achieve an abode even greater than Lord Brahma's. Within this universe, Lord Brahma is supposed to be in the most exalted position, for he is the chief of all demigods. But Dhruv Maharaj wanted a realm beyond his. Therefore, his desire was not to be fulfilled by worshipping any demigod. As described in Bhagavad Gita, the benedictions offered by the demigods are all temporary. Therefore, Narad Muni asked Dhruv Maharaj to follow the path recommended by his mother, to worship Krishna, Vasudeva. When Krishna offers anything, it is beyond the expectation of the devotee. Both Suniti and Narada Muni knew that the demand of Dhruv Maharaj was impossible for any demigod to fulfill. And therefore, both of them recommended following the process of devotional service to Lord Krishna. Narad Muni is referred to here as Bhagwan because he can bless any person just as the Supreme Personality of Godhead can. He was very pleased with Dhruv Maharaj, and he could have at once personally given whatever he wanted. But that is not the duty of the spiritual master. His duty is to engage the disciple in proper devotional service as prescribed in the Shastras. Krishna was similarly present before Arjun, and even though he could have given him all facilities for victory over the opposing party without a fight, he did not do so. Instead, he asked Arjuna to fight. In the same way, Narad Muni asked Dhruv Maharaj to undergo devotional discipline in order to achieve the desired result. Yeah, I would like to hear from Maharaj. I don't have anything specific to add to this. Hare Krishna.
The Jananya Abhihita Panta, the path spoken of by your mother, is certainly the right path, Nishreya Sasya, for the ultimate goal of life, for liberation, for the ultimate welfare of the living being, the ultimate goal of life. What a good mother he had. That's the first thing. Another mother might have said, oh, you poor boy, don't worry, kiss and make it better. But the mother of Dhruva Maharaj was very suniti. She was able to give the right advice that yes, even your stepmother has given you the right advice. You should engage in the service of the personality of Godhead. Then your desire may be fulfilled. And who is that personality of Godhead? Vasudeva. Like Prabhupada. No, not International Society for God Consciousness, Krishna consciousness. So Narad Muni is specific. Bhagavan, Vasudeva. For you, the right path is the path of devotional service to Vasudeva, Krishna, son of Vasudeva, not to some impersonal entity, certainly not to some demigod, but to very specifically to Vasudeva, Krishna. Pravanatmana, with full absorption, with the mind fully engaged in Krishna consciousness. This is the right path for you. I'm reminded that in Srimad Bhagavatam, maybe Praveen can find the verse. It said that even if the disciple wants something which is not very good for him, the bona fide spiritual master doesn't directly doesn't think, oh, let me satisfy his material desires. That's not the business of the spiritual master. Even though the patient may want something which isn't good for him, the doctor doesn't say, oh, that's all right. What you like, go ahead, take that. No, what will help you, what will be beneficial. So Narad Muni also doesn't become absorbed in the project of Dhruva's material desires, but he knows that Dhruva's desires will be included in or will be satisfied by devotional service. Krishna Bhakti Koilu Sarva Karma Krita Hoy. Everything will be included. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Maharaj. The first question we have in the chat from Vijay Krishna Prabhu is exactly what I was thinking, or partially so. I was appreciating Prabhupada's statement here that when Krishna offers anything, it is beyond the expectation of the devotee. I like that very much. It's encouraging. I feel like Krishna likes to have the element of surprise in his dealings with his various devotees, not just that, oh, I want this. Okay, here you go. It's more like, I want this. Well, I've got something better that you couldn't have even imagined. And Vijay Krishna Prabhu takes that a step further. He says, yes, when Krishna offers anything, it is beyond the expectation of the devotee. What confuses me in this quote is that, in general, the devotee never wants anything from Krishna in return for his devotional service. Please.
Well, before we come to your direct point, I'm also reminded there's another verse in Bhagavatam on which it's commented, Kaviraj Goswami comments that if anyone surrenders to me for material benefit, then he's a fool. He's a fool. But I'm not a fool. So why should I give him something which will be temporary and just have him coming back to me again? Oh, sir, now can I have this? Now can I have that? I'll take away his material rubbish and award him the nectar of devotional service at my lotus feet. Yes, generally the devotee doesn't want anything, but the beginning devotee, in the beginning, he may want something. Arta, Artarti, Jigyasu, Gyani. Neophyte devotee has some material desire to be fulfilled. But he's fortunate he approaches the personality of Godhead. So Krishna thinks, well, why should I give him something? 10th class, let me engage him in the nectar of Krishna consciousness.
Thank you. Murari Gupta Prabhu says, Hare Krishna Maharaj, what is the interplay in a disciple's advancement between following the process and the spiritual master's personal satisfaction with the disciple? Can a disciple satisfy the spiritual master without strictly following all the process? And can that be sufficient for success?
Well, even without his following the process, if the spiritual master just likes him, Prabhupada said, my spiritual master liked me, that's all. So by the pleasure of the spiritual master, even a simple person can attain all perfection. Labhamatra Sadhushange Sharba Siddhi. But and it's not that one has to follow every little detail. There may be so many things required according to the smarta vidhi and so on. The spiritual master doesn't need all that, but he wants to see the sincere service of the disciple. But it's not that Guru Maharaj, I broke all the regulative principles, but I'm sincere. Guru Maharaj, you told me to do this, but I was more interested in doing that. And Guru Maharaj this, Guru Maharaj that. That's not very pleasing to the spiritual master. I'll disobey the orders of the spiritual master, thereby offending both the spiritual master and the holy name. And still the spiritual master will be so pleased that by my sincere attitude, that will give me everything. That becomes rubbish. That becomes rubbish. That also becomes another aparad. What is that? To commit sinful activities on the strength of the holy name. Yes, I'm performing sinful activities, but because I'm a sincere devotee, I'll get all the blessings of the spiritual master. No. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. We have something more, perhaps. Oh, let's see. Oh, just to underscore what you're saying here, Praveen Krishna Prabhu adds, Krishna kahe ama bhaje mage vishaya shuka, amrita chari visha mage e bada murkha. Krishna says, if one engages in my transcendental loving service, but at the same time wants the opulence of material enjoyment, he is very, very foolish. Indeed, he is just like a person who gives up ambrosia to drink poison. And he goes on, Ami vigya e murke vishaya kene diba, svacharanamrita dia vishaya bulaiba. Since I am very intelligent, why should I give this fool material prosperity? Instead, I shall induce him to take the nectar of the shelter of my lotus feet and make him forget illusory material enjoyment. Thank you, Praveen Krishna Prabhu. And Murai Gupta Prabhu says, thank you, Maharaj.
Thank you, Praveen. But did you look for that other verse? That even if this disciple wants something material, the spiritual master thinks like a doctor who doesn't give the wrong thing to the patient. No, let me give him the right thing. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Saraswati Mata, please go ahead. Your hand is up.
I was just today reading about Sachi Mata and how she'd come to Shantipur and, was so enthusiastic to cook for the Lord. And even though, of course she was devastated that the Lord had taken sannyas, and of course, this is the other son that had done it. Still, there was in the purport, Srila Prabhupada said how these extraordinary mothers, Sachi Mata, Yashoda Mata, Kaushalya Mata, for the sake of this, Bhagavata Dharma, they can bear this, they force themselves to bear this separation, knowing that this is what was the sons were meant to do, follow the Bhagavata Dharma. It's extraordinary how these mothers can withstand this pain of separation, but know that the sons have to fulfill their Bhagavata Dharma. And also I'm wondering here with Narada Muni, of course Dhruv Maharaja is asking for something that's materialistic, but a verse from Srimad Bhagavatam comes to mind where it said, Vasudev Bhagavati Bhakti Yoga Prayojitaha Janaya Yashu Vairagyam Gnanam Jayad Brahma Darshinat, that, by engaging in devotional service, you're going to receive the causeless knowledge and the necessary detachment from everything that's material, and ultimately have darshana of Krishna. And, maybe Narada is seeing in Dhruv this kindred spirit, because he himself did have darshana of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So maybe just by but by engaging in devotional service, regardless of what material desires there were to start off with, but just the process itself is going to give you the knowledge and the necessary detachment, and to ultimately have this Krishna prema. Hare Krishna.
Also, taking a point you touched on, but one is naturally inclined to be kind to a child. With grown-ups, we expect the highest. We expect something. We expect them to show something. But a child naturally elicits, what would we say, affection. And even if he's a little nonsense, he's a child, people are inclined to be indulgent with children. With Lord Nrsingadev, he was particularly kind to Prahlad Maharaj, because Prahlad was just a child, and the Lord was so angry that he's just a child and he's been tortured this way by his vicious father. So that desire to be protective, that desire to be a tendency to be indulgent or kind is there. So Dhruv Maharaj, he's just a child. So, but he's so determined. That also is what shall we say, charming in a child. When a child is small, but he wants to do something. We were one time at an airport with Srila Prabhupada, and we were leaving, Prabhupada was leaving, and so many devotees had come. And one mother was there with a little child still in diapers. And while we were sitting there waiting for the plane, no, not even waiting for the plane, I think just Prabhupada might have been in the ticketing process or getting his boarding pass and so on. Anyway, at the airport, there was a little child, and he began exploring. He began exploring around, and then he saw there were all these big people, everybody's so big and tall. He's just a little child. He looks around, and he doesn't see his mother. And Prabhupada had said when the child was exploring, Prabhupada said, "Oh, he is so brave." But then when the child didn't see his mother, the child's face began to crumple, and then he began to cry. And Prabhupada said, that's our position. We leave the personality of Godhead. We're very brave. We're going to strike out on our own. But then, no, that doesn't work. We become distressed. So then naturally the child returns to the mother, or the fortunate soul returns to the lotus feet of Krishna. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you, Maharaj. Praveen Krishna Prabhu offers, based on your earlier points about how to please the spiritual master and get his blessings and how not to do so, he says there is also diluting the definition of the 4 regs and doing a lot of service to Guru. We see some preachers promoting the dilution to protect breaking families, and at the same time have preached to a lot of people and brought them to Krishna consciousness.
Yeah. So the spiritual master has discretion also what to tell someone. The story is famous that someone was pushing for divorce, and Prabhupada said yes, gave permission. And when inquired about it later, Prabhupada, you're always against divorce. Why did you give permission? No, if I hadn't given permission, he would have done it anyway. And then it would have been an offense to the spiritual master. So therefore, I didn't directly tell him that. So at least I can say that Srila Prabhupada didn't promote the idea that to protect breaking families, one should have sex without the intention of having children and use contraceptive methods. Srila Prabhupada at least didn't adopt that approach or give that concession. Hare Krishna.
Go ahead. We have a comment here from Tulsi Priya.
Oh, I was just thinking that there's a difference between making an exception for an individual and preaching a dilution of a principle. One disciple, yeah, you can get divorced, but if you're preaching that, no, this principle isn't really a principle and we don't have to follow it, that's quite a different thing. Just a thought.
And Praveen Krishna Prabhu brings the verse that you were asking about, perhaps Svayam Nishreya Sang Vidvan Navatyagya Karmahi Narati Rogano Patyang vanchato pi bishaktamaha. A pure devotee who is fully accomplished in the science of devotional service will never instruct a foolish person to engage in fruitive activities for material enjoyment, not to speak of helping him in such activities. Such a devotee is like an experienced physician who never encourages a patient to eat food injurious to his health, even if the patient desires it.
Thank you. That's the verse.
And Panchatattva Prabhu gives us verse number 6950. Hare Krishna. Maharaj, do you have anyone on site there who would like to read?
Would you like to read Jagannath Sutta? Yeah. Jagannath Sutta will read.
Again.
Let me give him the verse. It sounds good. Dharmartha kama mokshayan yaiche atmana ekam hyeva haristatra karanam pada sevanam. Any person who desires the fruits of the four principles, religiosity, economic development, sense gratification, and, at the end, liberation, should engage himself in the devotional service of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, for worship of his lotus feet yields the fulfillment of all of these. Purport also. In Bhagavad Gita, it is said that only with the sanction of the Supreme Personality of Godhead can the demigods offer benedictions. Therefore, whenever any sacrifice is offered to a demigod, the Supreme Lord, in the form of Narayan Shila or Shalagram Shila, is put forward to observe the sacrifice. Actually, the demigods cannot give any benediction without the sanction of the Supreme Lord. Narada Muni, therefore, advised that even for religiosity, economic development, sense gratification, or liberation, one should approach the Supreme Personality of Godhead, offer prayers, and ask for the fulfillment of one's desire at the lotus feet of the Lord. That is real intelligence. An intelligent person never goes to demigods to pray for anything. He goes directly to the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is the cause of all benediction. As Lord Sri Krishna has said in Bhagavad Gita, performance of ritualistic ceremonies is not actually religion. The real path of religion is to surrender at the lotus feet of the Lord. For one who is actually surrendered to the lotus feet of the Lord, there's no question of any separate endeavor for economic development. A devotee engaged in service to the Lord is not disappointed in the satisfaction of his senses. If he wants to satisfy his senses, Krishna fulfills that desire. As far as liberation is concerned, any devotee fully engaged in the service of the Lord is already liberated. Therefore, there's no separate necessity for his liberation. Narada Muni therefore advised Dhruva Maharaj to take shelter of Vasudeva, Lord Krishna, and engage himself in the way that his mother had advised, for that would help him fulfill his desire. In this verse, Narada Muni has especially stressed the devotional service of the Lord as the only way. In other words, even if one is full of material desires, he can continue his devotional service to the Lord, and all his desires will be fulfilled. Say something. Yeah, this is very often we see this, even as we start practicing devotional service, still we're trying to make separate endeavor, separate arrangements
for whatever material plans we have. And it all comes from not really knowing who Krishna is, and not really being aware of his position and the position of devotees and the power of devotional service. So gradually, through our service and through our association with devotees, we get to learn about Krishna, and then we understand how actually all these side quests, all these separate endeavors that we were putting our energy, our focus on, was just because of our ignorance, because we didn't really understand our position, we didn't understand Krishna's position, and we didn't understand the glories of devotional service itself.
Krishna says, whatever, what is that? If someone wants to worship some demigod, I make his faith strong so that he can do that. But actually, it comes from me. The so the fortunate person is the person who approaches Krishna. There was something else. There's a lot more actually, but we're running out of time. I like that point also that Prabhupada made, that there's no need to worship Krishna for material things. Krishna will satisfy all of our desires. The devotees who gave up material life to engage in the Krishna consciousness movement didn't miss out. Oh, our senses can't be satisfied. Their senses are more than satisfied. And as for liberation, you're already liberated if you're engaged in the service of Krishna. It's included. A person who gets $100 doesn't have to pray for 20 or 50. So everything is there in the devotional service of Krishna. Therefore, Krishna says, give up all other desires and just surrender to me. Take shelter of Vasudeva, Bhaja Vasudeva. And even if you do have desires for liberation, akama, sarva kama, va moksha kama, material desires for liberation, everything will be fulfilled if one engages in the service of Vasudeva. Hare Krishna.
Thank you so much, Maharaj. And Saraswati comments, a line I have heard so often from my parents: Krishna gives us what we need, not what we want. Hare Krishna. Is it possible, Maharaj, that your online, your on-site Sangha could lead us in our closing kirtan?
On-site association, would you like to lead kirtan?
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Jai Om Vishnupad. Paramahansa Pariprajaka Stotra Sri Srimad A.C. Bhakti Vedanta Swami Maharaj Prabhupada Ki Jai, Ananta Koti Vaishnavrinda Ki Jai, Nama Acharya Srila Haridas Thakur Ki Jai, Prem Se Kaho Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda, Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai, Sri Sri Radha Krishna Gopinath, Sham Kund Radha Kund Giri Govardhan Ki Jai, Vrindavan Dham Ki Jai, Lupadev Dham Ki Jai, Jagannath Puri Ki Jai, Ganga Mai Ki Jai, Jamuna Mai Ki Jai, Tulsi Devi Ki Jai, Bhakti Devi Ki Jai, Samaveta Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All the assembled devotees. Gaur Premanande Hari Hari Bol.
Hari Hari Bol. Thank you so much, Maharaj. And thank you, Prabhu, for leading us in Kirtan. That was nice. And thank you, everyone, for being here. Srimad Bhagavatam Ki Jai. Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. His Holiness Jayadvaita Swami Maharaj Ki Jai.
Samaveta Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai. Gaur Premanande Hari Hari Bol.
Thank you, Guru Maharaj.
Thank you, Panchatattva Prabhu.
Thank you, Maharaj.
Thank you, Hare Krishnas. Sharda.
Thank you, Maharaj.
Hare Krishna. Apologies for missing yesterday. I was on a plane to New York City. So now we're landed.
Bye.
Thank you all again. Hare
Hare
Krishna, Krishna Gautiya. Jaya.